Welcome to the Unusual History of Everything, the podcast that uncovers the unusual history of everything around us. I'm Karen Lacey.
And I'm Melanie Dulles. On this episode, we look at why we love to carve out pumpkins, eat their guts, and use them to light up the darkness.
When we in the West think of Halloween or All Hallows Eve, carving pumpkins is one of the first things that comes to mind. It's a tradition parents share with their kids, and even as adults, we enjoy it. In fact, we spend a lot of time researching cool designs to carve and choosing the best pumpkins at a pumpkin patch. And let's not forget gutting it and roasting the seeds. But why do we do all of this? How did turning pumpkins into jack-o'-lanterns become a Halloween tradition?
It all began in Ireland with the devil and a man named Stingy Jack. But first, let's take a quick look at Samhain, which plays a huge role in jack-o'-lantern history. Samhain is an ancient Celtic festival celebrated from October 31st to November 1st to usher in the harvest. It's also a time when the veil that separates our world from the spirit world is lowered, allowing spirits to walk among the living. Originally, people would hollow out turnips, put candles inside, and place them outside their doors to guide lost souls who wandered by their homes.
You heard Melanie right. Jack-o'-lanterns were originally made not from pumpkins, but from turnips and other root vegetables. Pumpkins are native to Central America, and people in Ireland at this time would not have had them to carve them. Europeans would have had to wait until 1600s for indigenous people to introduce them to pumpkins, and Ireland would have to wait a little bit longer. So in the meantime, carved turnips lit the way for all the lost souls.
Back to the devil and a man named Stingy Jack. This comes from a very old Irish legend that talks about a man named Jack who invited the devil to have a drink with him. It sounds like something people would do. It's weird.
It sounds very Irish. There's here's a leprechaun. Let's have a drink with him. Here's,
right. I wonder if he knew that it was the devil. He must have known it was the devil. I don't know. The story did not tell us if he knew that it was the devil or what the devil looked like at this time.
He probably did. This reminds me of this movie that I saw when I was a kid called Darby O'Gill and the Little People. Now, it was about a leprechaun, but there was drinking involved and singing because it was made from Disney. But it was all about basically bringing something supernatural or something that had powers and just kind of sitting it down, having a drink, and then talking things over and then like trying to be tricky and like almost like get maybe more wishes out of something or
yes.
So it kind of seems very, very similar, except this one was about a leprechaun and this one's about Stingy Jack and the devil. So
yeah, no, it actually sounds really similar. So, okay, so here we are. We're in Ireland, and Stingy Jack is like, hey, devil, let's go have a drink. So, being the stingy man that he was, Jack did not want to pay for that drink. So, he told the devil that if he turned himself into a coin, he could use it to pay for the drink, and after the bartender put the coin in the till, the devil could turn back to the devil, and neither of them would be out any money. And the devil thought this was like a super cool idea. And
also, so the devil has money? Like, throw that out there.
The devil was going to turn himself into a coin.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, the devil, why was he so concerned about not being out of money? Do you know what I mean? Like Jack, I get it, but like the devil.
Yeah, I don't know. We need to find the author of the story and well, he's dead now, but
probably. We
couldn't question him. Anyway, okay. So the devil said, super cool, let's do it. And he turned himself into a coin. Right? But now that Jack had the coin in his hand, he was like, I like the idea of having this coin. So unfortunately for the devil, Jack decided to put the coin into his pocket rather than pay for the drinks. So it was like a dine and dash?
I think it was the dine and dash.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Or maybe he told the bartender because it was like, his local pub. I'll see you next Saturday and I'll bring some money then.
Put it on my tab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or he's like, hey, I've got the devil in my pocket. I'm just going to get him out of here. That could also be what he did.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it might be.
Well, you would think that the devil, being the devil, could just turn himself back and smack Jack around for his trickery. But the pocket that Jack put him in also contained a silver cross, which apparently took away his powers of transformation. But after a while, for some odd reason, Jack decided to set the devil free on 2 conditions. 1, that the devil leave him alone for 1 year, and that 2, if he died within that year, the devil wouldn't take his soul. You would think that the devil would just say, okay, but then trick Jack later and take his soul anyway, but that's not at all what happened.
No, it's not. In fact, the following year, the devil came back to bother Jack, and Jack once again tricked him. What is up with this devil? Like, this is not how I thought the devil would act at all. He somehow convinced the devil to go up a tree and pick some fruit. And while he was up there, Jack carved a cross into the trunk, which of course meant the devil was stuck up in the tree. So in order to become unstuck, Jack made the devil promise to leave him alone for 10 years. Now,
I don't think that it was the devil. I think that it was a demon. One of the devil's minions who wasn't as smart.
And like Jack's not too smart either, because like the first time I would have been like, not a year, I would have been like, leave me alone forever and never take my soul ever. But instead he was like, leave me alone for a year. And now he's like, leave me alone for 10 years. It doesn't make sense. What kind of a story is this?
I think it's funny. And I think that I think there's probably a lot missing in translation, to be quite honest.
Right. Probably. All right. Well, anyway, the devil said, yes, sounds good. Unfortunately, though, Jack died not so long after this agreement and didn't get to enjoy 10 devil-free years.
When Jack's soul went up to heaven, God turned him away. His soul tried to get into hell, but the devil was still annoyed at being tricked so many times. So he refused to let Jack in and sent him into the darkness with nothing but a burning coal, which Jack took and put into a turnip that he'd carved out. Now, Jack's soul is said to roam the earth holding that lantern, and that is why the Irish began to blame the strange lights they see in the darkness on Jack of the Lantern or jack-o'-lanterns.
Speaking of the strange ghostly lights people see in the darkness, many people call them will-o'-the-wisps, which I know you've heard of before. Mm-hmm. Those are those lantern-like lights in the bogs and marshes of Europe that folktales say mislead travelers. It's likely, though, that these flickering lights are really ignis fatuus, or false fire, a natural occurrence known as marsh gas. Marsh gas is the spontaneous ignition of methane, which is created by the rotting plants in the swampy areas of Europe. These fires often appear in spouts of flickering lights that pop up randomly and go out just as fast. So when people see them, it looks like someone is walking with a lantern, perhaps even Stingy Jack.
When the potato famine in 1846 forced many Irish families to travel to North America and elsewhere, they brought with them the tradition of jack-o'-lanterns. But when they tried to find turnips to carve, they were not successful. Turnips were scarce in America at that time, but pumpkins were all over the place, and it wasn't long before everyone started carving them instead. Americans loved this tradition and soon began carving scary faces and pumpkins on Halloween to scare away Stingy Jack and any other ghoulish ghosts that may pass by their homes on All Hallows Eve.
I need to go back to that story. Like, I'm still confused, number one.
I think there's more to it than this.
Yeah. Why would Jack want to have a drink with the devil? Like, there has to be a reason.
No, drink with the devil makes sense because, like I said, a lot of camaraderie happens within pubs. Like, you make friends, you meet your friends.
Yeah, but it's the devil. It's not a leprechaun you can get gold from.
Well, you can't. There's a lot of stories where you can get stuff out of the devil. You meet a devil at a crossroads, right? And he makes you like the best musician in the world for like a certain period of time. Yeah. You know, or those are some of the ones we've heard of before. There's so many like things like that. Like if you meet someone at a crossroads or something. But there are so many times where you're just like, you want to be really rich or really powerful or whatever. So you make a deal with the devil. You know what I mean? And then it comes for your contract. So I'm thinking this Stingy Jack is being like, let's see what I can get out of this devil. I think he was actually being very smart and trying to figure out what he could get out of it. But I think that he kept getting himself into situations before he could get what he wanted more than, well, just leave me alone for a little while instead of like, give me $1 million.
Speaking of stories with the trying to get stuff from the devil, have you seen Fall of the House of Usher?
I saw a preview, but
oh my God, I just finished it.
Should I watch it?
The writing is phenomenal. The minds that created that story, they took all of Edgar Allan Poe's stories, The Raven and like his poems, The Raven, The Telltale Heart, all of them. And they put it, they wove it into the Fall of the House of Usher story. And they did it so brilliantly. I was like, I couldn't even believe, it was just so cool how they did it. And of course, it was all about making a deal with the devil and stuff like that. But it was good. You got to watch it. There's only 8 episodes.
I saw it and I was like, I'll have to watch this, but it just hasn't been a moment because I figured it was probably something I have to watch when the kids went to sleep.
Yes, yeah. It is definitely not something that there's a lot of, each episode is a very gory death.
Got it.
Because the devil's like, I'm here now to collect.
Oof.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Next time.
And it's all his kids dying. So,
Ooh, that's depressing.
anyway, okay, sorry, go ahead.
Well, that brings us to the end of our episode. You can follow the Unusual History of Everything podcast on Instagram at the Unusual History of Everything and on Facebook at the Unusual History of Everything podcast. And find our show notes on www.musecuratorial.com. The Unusual History of Everything is written, produced, and directed by Melanie Dellis and Karen Lacey.
New episodes air every Tuesday on all podcast outlets. Be sure to subscribe to us so you never miss an episode and leave us a review. You can also see photos from our episodes and more on our website, Instagram, and Facebook. Thanks for listening. I'm Melanie Dellis.
And I'm Karen Lacey, your host for the Unusual History of Everything.
Da, da, da.